Good morning, Colin.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes. I want to make just a real brief point of order quickly. So from the ARM this morning to this BOT meeting, those action items that are referring to the Native Hawaiian reorganization thing is that they have both been stripped from today's venues, right? Okay. Thank you very much. Just wanted to reaffirm that. I have three items that I wanted to address. I was hoping Mr. Uphold would be there because he was also the chair of today's committee thing. In his comments, he addressed that, and I think Mr. Huna was following up on that, the trustees, that they collaborate together before and seek more input on this issue. And thus, somebody was entertaining the Sunshine Law and how to be careful. Well, Mr. Uphold's comments, I was hoping that he would have include not just kuka, but I was hoping that the items be agendized what you folks are going to be talking about, made pertinent to the Sunshine Law, so that the beneficiary knows that you're not just getting together to just say, hi, how are you, this and that. We want to know specifically some of the topics that you bring it forth with the Sunshine Law, that these items that are pertaining to coming down legally, of course, but bring that forward and make that apparent in the agenda eyes. Number two, my comments are kind of basically more towards the administration. This past year, you guys have entertained a OHA sponsored summit, Kamaiao. Number two series in particular, the whole series in tangent was basically to conclude, entertain the international side of the situation, meaning possible remedies of independence and so forth. Number two, I believe that the international committee, which hosted this thing, along with the other two committees, which was state and federal, which Kealii was actually present there too. Was that report made relevant to the trustees?
No, not yet.
I kind of step back at that because then, I mean, sometimes it's kind of hard because where you're an advocate of independence and you are wondering why funding is not being made available pursuant to like how the state's efforts are, and someone could say that the trustees are somehow kept in the dark on this issue. So I'm a little bit taken aback because great steps and pains was made to make that report prevalent so that this table, your knowledge base, could be increased as to other efforts that have also been asking for funding, either matching funding on that, who have basically expressed that they could return yields, if not volumes of results, whereas the state's efforts have pretty much failed and so forth. So a little bit.
Point well taken. Point well taken. Because we are still in the planning of, the last summit, Kamaiao summit. But you bring up a good point that we can still distribute the second proceedings of that summit to the trustees regarding the international discussion and the other two forums that were discussed.
Because it's kind of like, no, I mean, but you understand my predicament.
Yeah,
the consensus of the people is like, Henry comes up and pulls up a document that no one had pretty much heard about from Senator Inouye's office, an official thing, and this room went silent. Because why? Dead man speaks? No. It's basically a factual report was entertained that happened to people remotely similar to us in a situation, something that we might be entertaining. And everybody's like, they didn't know about that. I myself, I'm a little taken because I see folks all the time and whatnot, and I even tell them, they gotta know. People go, they gotta know. No, so I'm kind of taken back. But I know there's been other efforts, but this effort, a detailed report, was to bring to light situations, rights, and efforts, and so forth. But I know this committee meeting I'm speaking to right now about the funding process. So the next item that I wanted to do and conclude with my remarks is number three. And I think you've been summing it up with all the rest of the presenters today. My hope is that you seriously look and end the funding for Kanawai Olulu. Seriously, because throughout the United States and any private institution, whether they're state funded or internationally, you guys have been tasked legislatively to fund a certain initiative, and you guys have committed funds thus far for a few years now. Right now, from what Auntie said and Henry and everybody has shown, the results, the language, that vehicle is giving a certain line of expression to where, how it's going to come about and look like. My thing is, I have been to some of these things, like especially like this year. Just the past week, they sponsored an event out at Miley Beach, a rock concert. And my friends that lived out there, I said, "Are you going?" And they said, "Well, we drove by and nobody was there." So, and I look at, and I mean, I'm sure some people were there, but not probably the volumes. When you have name headline acts, Sean Na'awao, so forth, and all these guys, and in an attempt to, garner attention to them and thus increase their numbers. This year, earlier, Auntie said she was at the January the Onipa'a event. I had a booth there myself. The Order of Kamehameha had a booth and whatnot. And then the lady comes up to me and she goes, "Can you stamp this thing?" And I was like, "Well, we're not part of this." And she goes, "No, you have to stamp it. I get my free meal, that's why." And I was like, "What?" "Oh, the Road Commission, they told me if I sign this paper, sign up with them, and then I get 4 or 5 stamps from vendors here, I get a free food thing." And I was just like, wow, so I would be very cautious. And I mean, even the CHNA event, I was there on the opening day. Poor Auntie was sitting there all by herself. No, but very few people came, if anything, to argue with her about this. And I'm looking at this going, if I was in a grantor's position or someone that has to regulate funds, I believe you've met your mandate already because he called for you guys to fund it. And I believe in last week's meeting, Uncle Bob Lindsay raised up another flags too, saying, how far are you willing to go? Because the state is gonna obviously reapproach you guys and saying, whenever they do come to a conclusion that a convention is needed, specific funding is gonna be doing that. I mean, anybody here knows that a constitutional convention, however support, is gonna garner more funding and whatnot. So you folks haven't even been entertained with that slice of the pie yet. But I believe, to my understanding, the wording of when Act 195 called for you guys to fund it. I believe you guys have contributed enough to it. And if you step back and look at what they've reported and what they have done, I think it's quite sufficient that you've given money to pretty much a process that started off but is not going to go anywhere unless some kind of miracle comes in and whatnot. That's why we see efforts being outreach to Act 77, which is trying to take the Kauai Noa one. So much so is there initiatives to see Kanaka on the mainland. And that has questionabilities, legal questions about how another person is going to be participant in another jurisdiction, another state's jurisdiction. So, and then my fourth one, I said 3 before. My personal one is I come here, I see you guys every week. I try to keep tabs on you folks and whatnot, and I see other initiatives you do. This trust is running dry right now. I mean, seriously, you guys have been financing some good things, got caught up in some pilikia things, but nobody's perfect. I understand that. But what started off as a pretty big corpus, and unfortunately with economical and the war now in Syria and everything coming up, you guys have really running dry on tights. I mean, these people don't know. I know. I come here, I see you guys deliberate over the biennial budgets. I see you guys do that. I've seen what happened today with the realignment of what is happening. There's not that much money left in your guys' situation. So from a personal point of view, I want to see this thing end and the bandages being on the bleeding stop. But personally, like you said, you guys are elected officials. I know because I ran with you guys. This is only gonna not only hasten the reputation of the Office of Foreign Affairs, but your personal ones at best. I mean, you guys are going to take some harsh criticisms for your decision here, which some view in this room as common sense. But of course, with deliberation, factual finding and whatnot. So it's pretty clear. I mean, pretty obvious. But we cannot do that. All we can do is express to you our concerns and so forth. That. So hopefully, with that being said, I hope you have heard what I've had to say and digest it. And mahalo. Any questions?
Oh, please.
Thank you.
Blow, Kamakani, what you blow? Let my people understand. Let my people know.